Hey, all, welcome to my channel. So I realized that my earlier live that turned out to the mic had issues. I'm not sure what's going on with my mic, but in any case, I'm pretty sure the mic is working now. They can't even beat the Diamondbacks. They can't beat the Diamondbacks. I mean, honestly, if unfortunately I wish I could have said it yesterday. I mean, I wish you could have heard from what I said yesterday. But the fact is how the Mets played on Saturday and how they played on Friday shows that there is no core. Just get rid of the Mets. Honestly, it's one of those things where um, after they barely won on Friday, watching that game in the ninth inning, you're up by 5 runs in the ninth inning, and you give up a grand slam and make them come back practically to the point where like they could have beaten you. I was gonna say, I was like, okay, this is typical Mets. I mean, and yesterday's game, of course. I mean, the wild pitch, and then of course the error that scores in a run. I mean, like what else is new at that point? Um, Today, I mean, it's today. I didn't see today's game unfortunately because I don't know. Well, first off, for some reason MLB TV didn't show me, which pissed me off. But more so to the point where like it made absolutely no sense as to why we're watching this game or why I'm watching this game. Quite honestly, um, I mean, Cohen's got to be upfront and honest with us. We as Mets fans can understand. I'll understand. Just don't try to sell us lies saying it's like, oh yeah, we're going to try to be competitive. No, you're not. This team is not competitive. Honestly, it's more of a case of like it's time to like just sell. This is the time to sell. The Mets need to sell. I mean, Alonso is hot now to the point like it's sell. Sell them off. Get as many prospects as you possibly can. Top tier prospects. And when I'm saying top tier, I'm talking top 10. When I'm talking top 10 prospects, I'm talking about pitching because we need pitchers. We have no pitchers, as you see. I mean, Diaz, I mean, he's turning out to be a flop. I wish something could change, but not. Honestly, if we could trade him, let's trade him. Uh, Trade off Lindor too. Get Lindor off the team because, like, honestly, Lindor and and Alonso, they're both padding their stats. Alonso more so. This guy is selfish as hell. I mean, I don't. I hate to say this, but like, it's more of a case where the way he's playing, I don't think he's willing to sacrifice for the team. And the reason why I say this is like, if there's every case where he needs to bunt or go for a sac fly, he won't do it. He'll just go swinging for the fences because he wants those homers. He wants to pad it up because he wants that big payday. Now, Lindor, he's padding it up because he's trying to essentially trying to get into the Hall of Fame, of course, and from that situation. But they don't realize it's like, because like honestly, nowadays, as a player, small ball doesn't really help you in the long run, getting into the Hall of Fame and such. So this is why I'm like thinking more so to the point of like you might as well get rid of these players, get some players, get rid of these two at least. Nimmo, I want to say get rid of Nimmo, but at least he's one of the guys that's willing to sacrifice for the team. He's always hustling and such. Alvarez, I think, is a guy that you could probably build off of because I mean, granted he's injured, but Alvarez is probably one of those catchers where I think he'll grow to be much more prominent with the Mets. Batty, I wish he could. I mean, if we trade off Alonso, maybe you switch Batty to first base because Vientos, hey, he's doing decent enough. He's bat wise, he's doing decent enough to the point where like I'm hoping down the line, maybe just maybe he becomes better defensively to the point where they have two pretty good players on the corners. Because quite honestly, put it this, let's be honest, pitchers are not that easy to come by. Hitters, dime a dozen. They are dime a dozen. You could just go out and buy them, basically, practically. You could buy them. I mean, that's Moneyball practically. You just buy runs, but you can't buy defense. We get pitchers. If we can get some serious pitching, we're in the running. I mean, look at it this way: you have if you have two dominant pitchers, you win the World Series practically. You have three dominant pitchers, you have like a pretty much a what's that called? I don't want to say a championship runs, multiple championship rings, or an era or a dynasty, but more so to the point where like you'll be in the playoffs considerably at that point. Um, JD Martinez, I don't even know why they got JD Martinez. I mean, when they got him, I'm like, what was the purpose? Maybe maybe to use his veteran leadership to teach both Alonso and Lindor is like, hey, you got to stop being selfish. But we're saying that's not happening. That's not happening. Honestly, yesterday's game when they were honoring Darryl Strawberry, honestly, I preferred that they didn't honor him because why? This is a guy for two things. This is a guy after he chose to leave the Mets, and after he left the Mets, he pretty much trash talked the team and the organization after he left. And of course, he wrote a book and trashed pretty much the entire team from the '86 Mets onwards. Basically, he's been trash talking. And the thing is like the fact that we retired his number and honored him. I was a Darryl Strawberry fan. I was a Doc Gooden fan too, honestly. I mean, Doc Gooden deserves it, but at the same time, he didn't leave on his own. Put it that way. Remember, he didn't leave on his own. It was more of like he just blew his chances because of those drug tests. Unfortunately, I mean, if the guy could control himself, that would be a different story. But because he just has the issues with drugs, had to get kicked off the team. Whereas Strawberry, remember, he left the team, and at that time I was like, oh, why couldn't the Mets sign him for more? I think the Mets realized he was going to be a detriment to the team itself, which was we were kind of seeing, which we saw with the Dodgers. I mean, Lasorda even had issues with him. This is the right time of Lasorda, by the way, and like the fact that he had issues with him as well too, it shows that Strawberry was not your team player. And the thing is, the Mets should not have honored him. Honestly, the one that I'm calling Mr. Met is quite honestly Tom Seaver. Never seen him pitch, quite honestly. Gen Xer, but never seen him pitch. I mean, a little young at that. I mean, towards the tail end of it, I think I was able to see. But quite honestly, him and David Wright. Now, David Wright, I think, would have been the new Mr. Met. He would have been the king of Metsdom. I don't know what to say exactly, but the fact is, like, due to injuries, but he was still good enough. He was still good. And he was loyal and devout to the Mets, and he went all out and hustled for the Mets. Quite honestly, I think more than anything else, David Wright should have the opportunity to be a manager for the Mets. I think he has that baseball acumen and definitely knowledge that he can use to the advantage as a manager. But I think he needs to get to that point. And to get to that point, of course, I think he needs to, of course, be a sort of a bench coach. But before being a bench coach, at least be one of the, third base or first base manager, whatever it may be. But in any case, that's beyond the point. It's coming back to the Mets. I'm sorry, I diverged to or went off on a tangent about Darryl Strawberry and Mets loyalty, which actually comes down to Pete Alonso. I don't think the guy's going to be. He's not going to be. Put it this way. I don't think he's going to come down to loyalty. He's not going to be loyal to the Mets. Honestly, quite honestly, he'll just leave in a heartbeat. If Lindor had the shot to leave and he was a free agent, he would leave in a heartbeat. Because why? I don't think the Mets can sign him. Now, I wish the Mets can sign. Now, my thing is, if we can trade Alonso, get some serious prospects for pitching, as well as Lindor, my hope is that we can sign Juan Soto. Like, now he's doing really well with the Yankees, which means I think he likes New York. I'm hoping that because he's liking New York, Cohen willing to offer him big money, more than the Yankees for sure, that he's willing to come to the Mets. But my fear is, unfortunately, what Ohtani did with the Dodgers, the Yankees can do the exact same thing to Soto, to the point where and Soto can win at that point as well too. And I think he's willing to do that. I think he's willing to wait a little bit, so long as more players can come on board to make make the Yankees another dynasty, specifically getting pitchers. So my fear is this, that Soto's going to sign the Yankees and no one's going to want to come to the Mets. The only way that happens is you build up the farm system again. And I hate to say this, but like, their farm system isn't so great. Acuna, may or may not pan out. Who knows? But the reality is like, I don't think we got anyone. Scott, I mean, good as a decent pitcher he is, I think he's more of a back of the rotation type of pitcher. We need some serious pitching, and we don't have any. So specifically in the minors, we need to rebuild it from scratch. And I hate to say this, but like, trade these players: Alonso, Lindor, maybe Batty if you can, Edwin Diaz, of course, Marte if you can, and such. Try to keep Nemo and of course Alvarez, and try to keep Vientos as well too, and just like trade off the rest and like see if you can get some serious top tier prospects. More so to the point where like you don't have to pay for anyone at that point is like what we had to do with Verlander and what we had to do with Scherzer. Because honestly, let's put it this way: you could try to buy pitching, but look what happened with the Mets when they tried buying Verlander and when they tried buying Scherzer. It didn't really pan out. If they can build it up from the ground up, like the way they did with the 2014 Mets, 13 Mets, or 12 Mets actually, you see how well they grew up to the point of like they became a dominant pitching force until the team broke up. Quite honestly, I hate to say this, but like I wish Wheeler had stayed with the Mets, similar to Degrom. I mean, it might be a different story with those two. I think the Mets would have been a very dominant team, but that's beyond the point now. I mean, I know Matt's Cohen for some reason has in his head that Matz is a trader. Honestly, Matz is not a starter. Steven Matz should have been a closer from the beginning. I always thought so because he could never last that long. Honestly, he should have been a closer, and I think he would have been a great closer. But in any case, I think, like I said, the Mets need to. It's to a point where like I think if Mets management and Cohen were honest, it's like, hey, look, we're gonna suck. We're gonna suck for the next couple of years, but we're trying to build up again what we need to be champions. Don't try to say it's like, hey, we're gonna be trying to compete. We're gonna be competitive. No, just say it's like, hey, we're gonna try the best we can. We're gonna try to stay as competitive as possible, but we know we're not. There's no way we're making the playoffs. And like the way it is right now, the Mets are like what 5.5 games out of the wild card. I wouldn't even bother saying like putting our hopes up. Let's be realistic. If I'm Cohen, like tell him straight up, Cohen's like, look, you guys, even though we're 5.5 games, we're not making the playoffs. Like wild card, forget about that. Unless this team changes completely and does a complete 180, we're not making the playoffs. And be honest about it. I think we as Mets fans will be aware of that. The team might be like, oh, honestly, if this is a team where like they get pissed off at Cohen for saying that, well, then they have a shot to like make the playoffs if they can have the wild card and get far into the playoffs. If they can't do so, well, Cohen is right. I think Cohen would gladly call it, I think Cohen would rather be called wrong in this situation if they make the playoffs, but chances are he's going to be right. I think in this situation, I'm hoping that was the case or wishing that he can do that. Mets management just let them be upfront with us. At least they were semi upfront. It's like, look, we're not going to be as in the playoff pictures, for the next 2 years, but we're going to have to like rebuild. I mean, not rebuild, but try to be competitive enough to the point where like, we want players coming into our team. I mean, at least they were a little bit honest on that part, but let's be honest. Let's just start from scratch. Just say we're going to start rebuilding from scratch. Just gut the team, start over, and let's rebuild a farm system from the get-go and then see what happens from there. Maybe we can get some players here and there, build the farm system to the point where like, hey, we got some stars from the farm, and maybe bring in some players at that point as well too. But more so if we build pitchers more than anything else, pitchers, like the bullpen, the rotation, the starting rotation, as well as closers, relievers. If we can, build that up and make it a dominant force, I think it changes everything considerably. With that, I'll leave it at that. If you like my channel, like my videos, like my content, please subscribe if you haven't subscribed. And of course, I haven't seen any chats going on. I know I'm live today, but some people might be just busy with whatever. Yeah, I don't see any chats, but once this becomes permanent, you're welcome to leave a chat in the chat session. I mean, leave a comment in the comment section. Sorry, I do see all my comments and I do respond to them. I mean, actually, there was actually one where someone actually left a comment which warrants a response. Kind of hesitant about that one because it's a little concerning of like what that is. It's probably something where like they're trying to sell me something business-wise, like, hey, this is how you can make your channel even more better. But in any case, yeah. With that, I'll leave it at that. And the other factor is actually, you know what? Hold on. Before that, MLB TV. I mean, honestly, I'm in California, and they're not letting me watch the game. I mean, like, what the hell's that? What's up with that? Why did I, fortunately, got it through T-Mobile, but still, I should still be able to watch the Mets game from California. I mean, what's the purpose of that? I mean, thank God I didn't pay for it itself myself, because if I did, I mean, like, I'd be really pissed off. But in any case, I don't know if anyone else has experienced the exact same thing I am, but that might be just on me. But with that, I'll leave it at that. Unfiltered, unedited, of course, always unrehearsed. Until next time.